Okay, class. So before we begin, I would like to introduce you to a new formula. Now, one of two things could have happened. We could have gone over this formula in class on Monday, or we could have relied on using a investment calculator. But here's the deal: not all investment calculators are consistent, and this formula is. So for these recording sheets, we're really going to need to teach this to you. Okay, so this new formula is P equals FV times R over 1 plus R to the power of T minus 1. All right, now what does this mean? So P means the annual payment, or the amount that you're going to have to put into your savings account every year to get this F, which is FV, which is a final value. It's what you want in the end. So last week, for instance, or yesterday, we had you wanted to get $1 million, you would have put 1 million right here. So final value. R is going to be the annual rate of return. Now, if you remember from when we went up credit cards, there was the interest rate, which was the amount of money that you owe almost as rent for having money in your balance. This is like the opposite of that. The bank is going to give you interest. My bad. The bank is going to pay you rent for having your money there. So that's what this annual rate of return is. It's a lot like interest. You could call it interest if you want. It's money that goes into your account as this thing grows. It's almost like if you were to water a little money tree, right? That's basically what you're doing, except you have to water it with more money. But anyway, all right, so here we go. So let me check the tasks and see how we're going to use this fun new formula. Oh, and also keep in mind this is the annual payment. So if you want the monthly payment, which you're often going to be asked for, it's going to be P divided by 12. Don't forget to divide that by 12 for the monthly. Or how much money you have to put into your retirement fund each month to get this final value. All right, here we go. Okay, so, but there's one little tricky thing, and I'll show you in a second. So we've got P equals FV, right? That's what you're trying to solve, times the compound, which is the annual rate of return, which is 0.04, which is times 1.04 to the power of 40 minus 1. I hope you don't mind here. I just added 1 plus 0.04. I just combined that into one step. So that's where I got that from. Okay. But here's the deal. That P, I know you'd love to put 250 there because that is her monthly payment. But exactly, that's her monthly payment. And P is for the annual payment. So before we do anything, just to not confuse you, I want to multiply that 250 that she's spending each month by 12 to get her annual payment, right? Because you know how our first step, our final step here would be to divide P by 12? For here, because we're working backwards, that's going to be our first step. So our first step is that monthly payment times 12, which is our 250 times 12. And then we got 3,000 a year, which is our yearly payment. Okay, so that's what P is. That's our yearly. So here we go. We've got 3,000. All right. So what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to clean up this bottom because that's a lot of numbers right there. You can really start wherever you want. It's algebraic, so we can work backwards. But I'm going to start by tightening up that bottom. So we've got 1.04 to the power of 40 for the amount of years. Whatever that is, 4.8 blah, 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 minus 1. Okay, so now we've got FV times 0.04. Obviously, I can't multiply these two together because That wouldn't give us anything. That would just give me FB times 0.04, and that would be pointless. That's what we have right now. Okay, and then we've got 3.8. So, because that's 0, 1, 0, that's pretty small. So I'm just going to keep it 3.8. It's not going to change our answer. Okay, so to get FB by itself, we're going to work from the outside in. The furthest thing away is, of course, this down here. So we're going to multiply both sides by 3.8 to get rid of it. Okay, so then we've got 3,000 times 3.8. I don't know what that is. That's going to be 11400 for 11,400, which is equal to FV times 0.04. Now, how are we going to get that by itself? Exactly. We're going to divide both sides by 0.04. I knew you had it. Okay. Now, if you divide by a number between 0 and 1, like a decimal, you always get a bigger number than you started with. So we expect a bigger number than this. $11,000 is not that much money for retirement if she's doing this for 35 years. Or, my bad, 40 years. We want a number bigger than this, okay? And we'll get that, because when you divide by a decimal, you get a bigger number than what you started with. So, right, 0.04, okay. So, what she gets in total is FV is equal to $285,000. Okay, now I want to make it really clear. Some of you might have gotten a different answer, right? If you did the exact same steps, you might have gotten the answer, 285,076. Okay? Or 76.55. So I guess if you round it, that would have been 77. That's not wrong. The way that you got the answer was, you see how I put 3.8 here? If you kept in your calculator, because you had a fancy one, and you had like 3.80102, that tiny difference would have made a different answer. So if you get an answer slightly different than mine, that's fine. In fact, you were a little bit more correct. So don't panic. There we go. And with this assignment in general, if your numbers are slightly off, but your math is right, I don't mind. And then for the 6%, the 8%, the 10%, same thing. If you want to use an online investment growth calculator, you're free to do so. Some students found that that was more difficult, and that's why I wanted to teach this to you. But if that's easier for you, do that. That's fine. For question 5, it says, how much more will Lena have at retirement if her investments earn a 10% rate of return instead of a 6% rate of return? Oh, okay. Well, I can't give you the answer for that because I don't know what her 10% or her 6% will be. But you're just going to take that final answer of 10% and subtract the 6%. Easy peasy. And then so that leaves us with question 6. Now, question 6 is tricky. Lena aims to have at least 600,000 by the time of retirement. What minimum annual rate of return? So we've got P is the annual payment, which in this case is the same. It's going to be that 3,000 again, because it's the 250 times 12. It's equal to her final value is 600,000 times the annual rate of return, which is R. We don't know what R is. That's what we're solving for. Over 1 plus R, that to the power of the amount of years. That would be the same 40 years minus 1. So here's the thing. I'm going to give you a quick hint of that. Maybe I shouldn't tell you. You're still going to have to do the math. But the 6% is going to be, let's see, that's question 2. That's going to be roughly $464,000. You know what? Good for you for watching this video. So actually, I don't mind giving you the answers. It's good for you. Anyway, and then 8% was like roughly 777,000. Yeah, you still gotta do those two. So if we're looking for 600,000, it's gonna be somewhere between these two. So if this was 6%, and if this was 8%, like algebraically, it would be really complicated to solve for this, right? Like that would be a pain in the neck that I'm not gonna make you do. But we're just gonna guess, and if we're wrong, we'll try something else. Maybe we'll use that calculator after all, right? But we're just gonna guess that it's somewhere between 6 and 8%. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. So for R, we're gonna plug in 7%, and if that doesn't work, then we'll do something else. It's okay. That's what math is all about. All right. So six. We're gonna start from the bottom, make things easy for ourselves. So we've got 1 plus 0.07, which is going to be 1.07. That to the power of 40. Okay, that minus 1. So we've got this 13. We'll round that to 14. Okay, and again, it's going to be a simpler answer than what you would get if you kept in your calculator. But I'm actually kind of a fan of simple answers today. And then on the top, it's going to be 600,000 times R, which is 0.07, we're guessing. And that gives you 42,000. All right, let's see if that divided by 14 gets us 3,000. Okay, so we checked our answer and that was perfect. So a 7% annual rate of return would get us that. Does that make sense? Okay, I'm gonna have you try the rest. Let's see. 31 years old. This is exactly following the formula, so I'm not worried. Same. Okay. Yeah, so at least test 2 and 3 is very similar to this, where we're just doing different years and comparing and contrasting. So same rate of return, no initial investment. Question 4 is a little bit tricky, but actually it's a bit fun. So I don't want to steal that fun experience of finding out what the answer is from you. So I'm gonna leave that. Uh, hmm. Let's see, 5-2. Uh, no, gives you everything you need. Okay. Okay. No, this is just gonna be fun. All right. So have a good time.